I didn't really see the vision with Coman, honestly. I always thought he was going to get better once he...
Obviously the injuries, I feel like if he didn't have those injuries, he would actually be a top 5 winger.
Welcome back, Buddies community. Coman has decided to leave Bayern Munich. Not really decided to leave, but has got kicked out by the Bayern board. The board has finally decided to sell him, and I definitely agree with that. I'm gonna find out what Pat thinks. But yeah, I mean, the board is selling him about 30 million, maybe even less, for going to Saudi. That is a bit criminal. He's had a bunch of great moments here, whatnot, but yeah, Coman, he's officially leaving to Saudi Arabia, to Al Nassr. He gets to play with Su! So, I mean, I guess that's good for him and whatnot. He already got to play with Musiala, so he can't really beat that with 40-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah, I mean, it's official. He is gone. Legendary. He's been here for a decade plus, had some great moments at Bayern Munich, and it is now, the chapter is closed. And I think it's the right move.
There are obviously pros and there's obviously cons for this signing. To go over the pros, our wage structure will look much better than it already has, obviously. Obviously, we've been improving our wage structure a little bit from the players that we've let go, such as Sane, Muller, unfortunately, and obviously Eric Dyer, and now we have Coman leaving too. Another pro is that obviously he's a decent winger, but he's not probably Bayern level quality. If we're going to be completely honest here, it's because he's been constantly injured all the time. Can't rely on him. Obviously, I would say he's pretty much a legend at Bayern Munich, but currently at now, he hasn't been really performing at his best. That's obviously because of his injuries. The cons of this is, why do we still have Serge Gnabry in our squad if we're going to be letting go of Coman? If we were to sell the 3 wingers that we had with Sane, Coman, and Gnabry, I would sell Sane and Gnabry. Leave Coman, decent backup winger for sure. I think we'll be absolutely cooking here. Another con obviously would have to be the price tag. I think that since Saudi is knocking on our door, Saudi is calling, Cristiano Ronaldo's team is calling, probably one of the teams that have a face in Saudi Arabia, if we're going to be completely honest here, we should definitely be pushing for more. 40 to 50 million, and I'll be happy with this. Let me tell you, if Benjamin Sesko is going for 85 million from Manchester United, then why can't we lock this in? Why can't we get a little bit more? Let me tell you, I'm absolutely crashing out because of that. But other than that, obviously Kingsley Coman, a great player. Unfortunately, he will be leaving. It is a little bit sad because he's been here for a decade, but I do think that this is the right move.
Yeah, we basically grew up watching him, I mean, for a whole decade plus. I don't know, I mean, he was kind of up and down a lot, as Pat mentioned, mostly due to the injuries, but also wasn't the most consistent winger for sure. Didn't really fulfill his role in being that next generation of robbery, being on one side, but he did the job. He got us that Champions League final, had some amazing performances, helped us get the Bundesliga when we had Tuchel and he almost sold. We have to be very thankful for that. So yeah, Coman's leaving. It's done. It's over. It's no other option. But with that decision in mind, who are we going to replace him with? Will we even end up replacing him at this point? Because the way the board this summer has been going, I wouldn't honestly be surprised if we just sold him and then the board just failed to find even a like-for-like replacement. Even if it's not the players that we've been targeting, I mean, are we going to sign a low-key Bundesliga player that could replace Coman? Because we already do have Luis Diaz on that left wing, so do we really necessarily need a star left wing? Of course we want the players that we've been targeting, of course, from Musiala injury. But the Bayern board isn't going to see it that way. We know that the Bayern board is really going to go for a much cheaper talent in the Bundesliga. Maybe they've been actually doing some scouting for once, Max Herbal.
I mean, currently right now, it doesn't seem like there even is a report on an actual target for replacing Kingsley Coman. I mean, granted, he hasn't necessarily left just yet. They're working on the personal terms and obviously the fee, of course. But it seems like we're only looking at Nick Woltemade, and I'm absolutely crashing out.
And that's not a left wing at all. I mean, he plays in the middle, plays striker, so that doesn't really make sense. Yeah. The only thing that makes sense with that is that Musiala would move out to left wing, but then you have Luis Diaz there, and it's just like, what? Like, why even have Woltemade at that point other than a backup for striker, which I wouldn't mind either.
Yeah. And it's absolutely criminal because Bayern Munich wanted Woltemade as Tell's replacement. Tell obviously left, and obviously since Musiala did get injured, Nick Woltemade was going to be Musiala's replacement. And now we're still looking at Nick Woltemade and not any other player. So now what? He's going to be a replacement for all 3 of those players? And I'm absolutely crashing out. What are we doing on our board right now? Obviously, granted, there is still time in the window, of course, without a doubt. But we need to actually pounce on it. We actually need to be really efficient with this, because if not, it's going to be just like last season where we have lots of injuries and we're going to have no depth at all, and then we're going to crash out in the Champions League. We have a great squad. We have a great 11 for sure. Of course, we just need the depth and we'll be cooking. If we just get the depth, I do think we could be Champions League winners, and I do think if we get the right players for Vincent Kompany, the players that Vincent Kompany wants. We will play the most liquid football and we'll lock that in, just like how we played against Spurs. Lock that in.
In the end, Coman did have some great moments with us, and then obviously, I mean, my favorite is the Lisbon goal, of course, securing that Champions League, that 6th Champions League against PSG, locked that in. He got us with that header, that Kimmich cross, locked that in, another 1-0 Champions League final. But, I mean, Bayern won it, so who cares at the end of the day? But yeah, locked in that sextuple with that goal, and for that, he'll be remembered forever as Mr. Lisbon.
For sure, and that's why I would call Kingsley Coman a legend. I know it's a very controversial take because, you know, it's decent enough that we're trying to sell him, of course, and I am content about it, but I do think he's a legend for that. You know, he brought us our 6th Champions League. It's been a while since we won the Champions League. The last time was 2013, so that's a 7-year Champions League drought right there. So I'm absolutely loving that. Stole my thunder there. I definitely think that's my favorite moment of Kingsley Coman's time at Bayern Munich, but I would say this one's an underrated one, and it had to be Bayern Munich versus Juventus in the Champions League round of 16 in 2016. Obviously, Kingsley Coman came from Juventus on loan, and then we obviously locked him in after that season. But yeah, I remember Juventus were winning 2-0. Cuadrado destroyed our defense. Pogba, great goal against Bayern. Losing 2-0. Then Kingsley Coman came in and absolutely changed the game. Obviously, Douglas Costa, Lewandowski, 2-1. And then obviously Kingsley Coman crossed the ball into Muller and he made it 2-2. Sent it to extra time. And yeah, I would have been crashing out if we lost to Juventus at home in the Champions League round of 16, because I know what I would have been like if I went to school the next day. I would have gotten cooked, let me tell you. But then after that, Thiago scored 3-2. Fantastic. And then Kingsley Coman, beautiful goal, beautiful skill, sealed the win for Bayern Munich. We went into the Champions League quarterfinals. That had to be my favorite moment. I was absolutely loving it. One of my favorite games for Bayern Munich, if I'll be completely honest with you. I just love the passion, love the determination. It was absolutely fantastic.
After a decade, he's at 70 goals and 59 assists with Bayern Munich in all competitions. Pretty decent for a winger, but I mean, the numbers, sure, they might look good, but to be honest, in my opinion, I don't think it was the best winger option for us. Getting those numbers with all the injuries and all the inconsistencies that happened to his career is still very impressive. Don't get it wrong. Obviously did a lot for us. I'm not trying to disrespect him at all, but I just don't think that I ever loved him as much as some of maybe our other wingers are just. I didn't really see the vision with Coman, honestly. I always thought he was going to get better one season and really have that breakthrough season, but it always fell flat in my opinion, whether it was the injuries or just falling out of favor with the coach. It wasn't really there for me. It wasn't really my favorite.
Yeah, obviously the injuries happened, and you know, I feel like if he didn't have those injuries, he would actually be a top 5 winger, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you. He's very impressive to watch. I don't think I really ever crashed out with Coman playing at the wing. I know I was crashed out Gnabry, Leroy Sané and whatnot, but I never really crashed out at Kingsley Coman. And on top of that too, Kingsley Coman played at a time where we had Robin and Ribery down the wing as well, so he was their backup as well. So producing these numbers as well has been pretty decent, of course. Obviously that Champions League winning goal, I would have to say I really enjoyed Kingsley Coman's time at Bayern Munich. Obviously, sure, it could have been a little bit more, but injuries happen. That's just football. That's life at the end of the day. But I think what he did for Bayern Munich, you know, winning the many trophies that he's done, obviously the DFB Pokal 2019 final, he was absolutely cooking. I believe he scored like 2 goals as well. So yeah, I would say Kingsley Coman's time at Bayern Munich was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it could have obviously been better, of course, but I absolutely loved it. Locked that in.
So yeah, Kingsley Coman, our decade-plus winger, is officially going to Al Nassr. It is confirmed. Going to Saudi. It is wraps. It is basically wrap up that old generation. Just waiting on Gnabry to leave, and all 3 of them, Sané, Coman, and Gnabry, will be officially out of our club, which we've been waiting for a while for. But yeah, let me know your guys' opinions about Kingsley Coman in the comments below. Your favorite moments, what you think about him leaving to Al Nassr to play with CR7. And yeah, check out here our video about our jersey haul, so what Bayern Munich jerseys we have, and the Q&A we did for 5K subscribers. Thank you so much, and also thank you for 6K, and we appreciate you. Mia Samia. Peace.